Welcome everyone to the Autodesk Vision Series session at the end of the time tunnel, shaping the future of the media and entertainment industry. This year, Autodesk has partnered with SIGGRAPH to celebrate 50 years of computer graphics, and much of that history is intrinsically linked to Autodesk's own journey in becoming a design and make platform company. So while the time tunnel is looking back in time, in today's panel discussion, we want to look forward and discuss the technology trends that shape the media and entertainment industry in the years to come. My name is Leona Frank. I'm the Director of Media and Entertainment Marketing at Autodesk, and I'm joined today by my colleagues Ben Fischler and Jeff Bell. Ben and Jeff, thank you for joining me today. Before we get started with what you do at Autodesk currently, can you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your career journey in the media and entertainment industry?
Hi, I'm Jeff Bell, Senior Director of Product Management, overseeing Autodesk's media and entertainment platform efforts. Right now, Flow, Asset Management, and our M&E data model are occupying the majority of my time.
Hey everyone, Ben Fischler here. I'm Director of Product Management for our content creation products. So this includes things like Maya and 3ds Max and more. Right now, we're definitely focused on how we bring these products to Flow.
Thank you so much. And Jeff and Ben, you both have been in the media entertainment industry for decades. Can you tell us a little bit more about your career journey and how you got to work at Autodesk? Jeff, why don't you start?
Sure. My journey actually began with Alias research and Alias Wavefront back in the 90s, working on Maya 1.0 and 2.0 as one of the animators responsible for the workflow and feature set of that product. I then spent about 20 years in production in various roles, such as CG supervisor, visual effects supervisor, producer, and then finally studio owner. I came to Autodesk as part of an acquisition of the technology portion of my company a couple years ago. And it gave me basically an opportunity to make a much larger impact with the excellent team here. I was extremely impressed with the direction that Autodesk was heading based on my conversations with Diana Colella and the vision that she had and the division had for content creation in the future as part of a connected platform with connected workflows. So my thinking very much aligned with the leadership vision. What
about you, Ben?
Well, my path to computer graphics originated actually through making bicycles. I had an interest in computer-aided design and wanted to design bicycles on the computer. I was a frame builder at the time, and I discovered 3D computer graphics. And before too long, I was interested in making movies and films. At the time, though, this was a very challenging field to get into. And so it was a combination of being self-taught and learning skills as I went. And like Jeff, I ended up playing a variety of different roles in production over several decades: character animator, compositor, lighter, visual effects supervisor, as well as also being an entrepreneur, and I had a studio of my own. And my experience spanned both the individual operator as well as in the large studio context. And so I've definitely seen kind of both ends of the spectrum, from the artist as a solo operator, as well as a full-scale production pipeline where you have hundreds or even thousands of people contributing to a single project. And what I think is especially cool about the work that we do here is, our products contribute at both ends of that spectrum, whether individual artists creating or huge teams, working together to produce a finished story.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And naturally, with that career path for both of you, when we as Autodesk decided to partner with SIGGRAPH on the time tunnel, highlighting 50 years of computer graphics, we came to you and asked you, so what stood out for you from a technology perspective in the evolution of CG? So Ben, tell me about a memorable CG moment that sticks with you.
Well, there's been a lot. Of course, I think for many of my generation or our generation, Jurassic Park was kind of a towering moment. That certainly influenced me. I think, speaking of CG dinosaurs, though, I actually also remember seeing the Flintstones. If you remember the Flintstone movie, and then discovering Cinefex magazine and realizing, oh wow, all of this was, produced through special effects and visual effects, both CG and practical. And it was shortly after that that I really started digging into it and learning that, oh, this is actually something that you can do as a craft and as a profession. And so I think it was both Jurassic Park, one dinosaur example, and the Flintstones, another dinosaur example that come to mind immediately.
And who doesn't like working with dinosaurs? So that's awesome. And Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it would be the release of Maya 1.0 and 2.0. It was interesting. At the time, Alias Research and Alias Wavefront were seen as being behind the competition at the time, and there was really a push to become best in class for animation within the industry. So to see the release of that software and to see the growth of that software and the use of it in the industry up to the point where it became an industry leader, I mean, that was a really huge moment, and a moment that I look back on fondly.
So speaking of Maya 1.0, a few years ago, obviously Maya is still an industry-leading tool for media and entertainment. How do you think you build software that stands the test of time? What's important to consider, Jeff?
The software has to meet the needs of the client. It needs to address workflow issues that exist for the artists. It needs to take into account their production needs. Like at the end of the day, if it doesn't suit the workflows and it doesn't suit the problem space, then the customers are going to reject the solutions. So it's also important to enable multiple workflows across the production pipelines, again, such as Maya does. And then in future, for me, it's going to be important to even push those connected workflows further through the production platform known as Flow.
Ben, you have been a strategy manager for many years at Autodesk. And of course, this industry is always changing. And going back to what Jeff says, and a software needs to keep changing as well to respond to those needs. What are some of the most recent industry trends that you have been observing that will shape how software needs to serve customers in the future?
Well, there's a number of really important ones. I think a few that come to mind, certainly just the changing form factors of our devices, right? So we have the traditional desktop model, but we also have everything on the edge now. So portable, you've got smartphones, your iPhones, iPads, et cetera. And those, I think, used to be kind of written off as toys, but they're now basically as powerful, if not more so, than a lot of our desktop systems. And those are viable tools for things like capture, photogrammetry. So that's one significant change. I think we're going to see more of that. You'll see things like volumetric video become more and more prevalent. Same thing there, where the technology it's early now, so this is sort of just getting started on the curve. But I think in a few years' time, we're going to see so many use cases for things like volumetric video. We recently invested in a company called Arcturus that does some incredible work with volumetric video, and this is going to definitely there's a need for a platform like Flow to accommodate those kind of workflows. And I would say a real big one, which is on top of everyone's mind right now, is AI and machine learning. And I like to think of that as technologies that can complement artist workflows and enhance artist workflows as opposed to, displacing or replacing artists. If we can give artists time back, then that's a win for the creative process, right? If you can say, okay, instead of 4 iterations, you get 14, then you're going to get a better result on screen. The artist is going to be able to get to that creative end goal, that creative vision quicker. And it's the kind of thing like most artists are very familiar with. There's sort of drudgery to some of the work, right? If we can eliminate the drudgery and say, hey, this process that used to be kind of a pain that might have taken you 4 or 6 hours out of your day, now you can get it done in half an hour, then you've got happier artists and they're more productive and they're producing better work. So I think artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to be a huge force for the rest of our lives in terms of creative workflows, for sure.
That's great. And in an industry that is experiencing such an explosion in demand, what do you think the impact of some of these trends would be?
Well, I think we've talked about this for a few years now, but we're in the midst of a continuing content boom. And so, the demand for content is not going to go down. It's going to continue increasing. And so the challenge is for content creators and content producers to meet that demand. And as we've seen, there's constraints on talent and there's constraints on time and budget. And it's a difficult business. So anything that we can do to remove friction and accelerate the creative process, that benefits the creators, as well as connecting teams, right? So if you can collect talent from different places and bring it together, talented artists in new ways, whether they're in Europe or in Asia or in the Americas, that's vital right now, because the old days of having everyone in a single screening room are just over, where teams are distributed, and that's not going to change. I think we're going to be working in a distributed fashion from here on out.
So, Jeff, I'm hearing platform, I'm hearing connecting talent. Tell us a little bit more about what Autodesk is doing to respond to some of these trends and pain points that we see.
A large part of this is basically understanding the pressures and problems that our customers are experiencing, and Ben just mentioned a few of those. A lot of even the smaller studios have multiple facilities spread out across large geographic areas. They're bringing in remote artists from other areas outside of where their facilities are. And that happens all the way from the small companies all the way up to the larger companies. And this is to meet the ever increasing content demand. Studios still struggle to scale and collaborate effectively, given these type of these operating modes that they've moved into. So our response is basically to create the Flow platform, where our goal is to basically tie these things together, not only Autodesk software such as Maya and 3D Max, but also third-party vendors like Side Effects, Houdini, and other applications that are used throughout the visual effects and animation workflows, and basically pull it all together in a collaborative and distributed cloud-based artistic environment.
That's interesting. Can you talk a little bit more about what makes this approach different? You've been in the industry for a very long time. So this platform approach, how is it different to how software vendors have responded to trends in the past?
Yes. So our goal is to be as open as possible, to open source as much of this as possible, to orchestrate the open standards, whether it's utilizing things like USD for both workflows and file formats, OTIO, Open Timeline IO, Open Color IO, and basically act as an orchestration mechanism for a lot of these open standards. So essentially, it's been built open from day one. The other large part of what we're doing is ensuring that the platform is as configurable as possible. We can't come up with one solution that's going to suit every single studio. So we'll come up with our opinions on how production should be done in visual effects or animation or on games, but our clients will also they'll have the ability to reconfigure those, either utilize them directly, reconfigure them, or throw them away and come up with their own mechanism to describe their data sets. So open and flexible and very configurable.
Okay, Jeff, you just mentioned open standards, and Autodesk just recently announced that we are a founding partner of the Alliance for Open USD. Ben, tell us a little bit more about the importance of supporting open standards and the impact that will have on our customers.
Yeah, it can't really be overstated just how important open standards are now for the industry. This is, I think, a kind of a transformative time. The industry has been trying to get here for a while, and I feel like we're finally at a point where we have the technologies are here, the standards themselves are here. We also have the community and the will of the community to make things work. And so when I say make things work, I mean, this is organizations like the AOUSD, as well as the ASWF, right? And the reason why these organizations are important is because good governance matters, right? It's where it's very easy to take a great piece of technology and with poor governance or no governance, have it fall out of favor for reasons that don't have anything to do with the technology itself, but just, it doesn't get the support it needs. And I think that one of the things that's changed that I think is really great is that I think the industry has matured enough to recognize that, we're not going to succeed by squabbling over the nature of file formats and things like that. We all win by producing great workflows and enabling customers to do great work. And these standards are kind of the foundation of that now. So I'm really, really pleased with what we're seeing within the community. And we've got a lot of great organizations now that are doing good work. That said, I think we have to keep the momentum up. I think some of these standards, open standards, feel like it's almost like a child that you have to kind of usher through, their growth path where, if they're not protected, they can go astray. And we really do have to make sure that we're mindful of where we're going with the standards. And because some of the standards, and I would say USD is one of them, they're really bigger than media entertainment. I mean, these are standards that are going to serve industries cutting across all kinds of markets. And I think that if we're not careful, and I think we're doing the right things, but we do have to be mindful of the fact that there's a lot at stake. And so I think the industry is really recognizing that we have to do the right thing. So it's a pretty exciting time.
Yeah, and to that end, I want to stress that USD is forming a pivotal role in the Flow platform in terms of asset management, and will enable us to actually connect together all of the softwares within the industry, even ones that traditionally would have been considered competitors to Autodesk. So our place on the board and our prominence in terms of contributing to the USD standards is vitally important to our platform efforts as well.
I think that Autodesk is really well positioned to help usher in the sort of coming of age of USD, since we are leading in so many different industries and we're trying to connect it all through the design and make platform. That I do think having a voice at the table will be really beneficial, so that these open standards can be applied outside of media and entertainment as well. Now, I'm hearing platform, I'm hearing customized workflows, connection, all that is very exciting. So, Jeff, when can we start working like this?
We're well on the way on our development of the platform. We're looking at our first sort of closed alpha early in the new year, and betas, and then general availability sometime next year, possibly the start of the following year.
Ben, as someone who spent his entire career in the industry, what makes you excited about this future vision?
There's a few things just right out of the gate that I'm super excited about, things that we've got, in development now. The fact that we can take our existing content creation products like Maya, Max, and connect them to Flow allows you to do things that you just couldn't do with desktop software in the past, unless you were lucky enough to be in a studio pipeline environment. And these are things like enabling animators to work in ways where they have an understanding of the different shots that they're working in and have the edit or the cut drive workflows. And these are sort of for a lot of artists, these are the kind of workflows that were just out of reach, and we're going to allow them to bring them into new contexts. I think a lot of studios that have struggled with the balancing act of how do I produce great content while also trying to develop a full software stack at the same time. This is going to be a godsend for a lot of companies because it's going to, I think the end goal is we're going to enable them to really focus on telling stories and not on having to figure out how to also be a software company at the same time, because it's a lot. And I'm really, really excited about what we're going to be able to do, combining with the great tools we have on the content creation side on Flow, because it's going to be a really complementary situation, and I'm super pumped about it.
That's awesome. And Jeff, what about you? What excites you about the vision?
Yeah, I mean, I'm again, as somebody that originally worked on the first and second versions of Maya, I'm really excited to return to Autodesk to almost as a bookend to to my career, to help enable these cloud-based workflows to bring Maya together with Max and Houdini and a lot of the other softwares out there, to create a very flexible and open platform that will allow our customers to build very, very strong and distributed and collaborative workflows and pipelines. I mean, it's, if I go back the quarter century when I was working on Maya, this wasn't even a glimmer in people's eyes back then. So it's really exciting to be able to see the platform create connected workflows and allow softwares like Maya to do things that, as Ben was mentioning, is very difficult to do if you don't have the connectivity of the actual production data sitting there underneath of it. So yeah, super excited.
Okay, well, Jeff, Ben, this was an incredibly insightful discussion. Thank you so much. Are there any parting thoughts you want to share with our audience before we wrap it up?
Well, I'm just excited to bring content creation to Flow, and stay tuned because it's going to be a pretty great ride.
And, as a former studio owner, I'm very excited to help bring Flow to the market. It's something that every studio has to deal with in terms of building pipelines and connecting these softwares together. So being a part of something that is this big and potentially game changing for the industry is super exciting.
I agree. I can already see just the beginnings of the impact that this technology is going to make, and also the open standards and just what that is going to open up for the industry, the stories that can come to life that we all get to enjoy. I'm very excited for the future. So Jeff, Ben, thank you for being such wonderful panelists. Also, thank you to the audience for joining us today. And if you want to learn more about Flow, do visit our website and you'll see some interesting stories and overview over the vision of Flow.